Hi folks, hopefully you saw my recent introduction for the GFX100 II based purely on specs that were released. Well, today we have one to test out. They've sent it over with the new 55mm f1.7 lens. In total, this is about a $10,000 US kit, which is actually significantly cheaper than its predecessor, the GFX100. That video, I ran you through all of the different specifications and stuff. In this one, it's just going to be a first hands-on portrait shoot. We'll get some sample files that you can download for yourself. I'll give you my impressions of how it is in the hand, how's the autofocus and stabilization, and basically the responsiveness. Apparently this is meant to be noticeably faster than the predecessor cameras. And my very first impressions off the bat, I really love the textured finish they have on it. It looks cool. I wish the doors had the same kind of soft grip to the rest of the camera, but overall I think it's a really smart looking camera. Again, the buttons have all kind of moved around a little bit from the previous generation, which is a little bit confusing. I have a GFX setup guide that takes you through all of the different cameras in the GFX range going back to the S and R, and the number of different changes to where the buttons are is quite confusing when you're switching between different bodies. But this has added in some new function buttons, so I'm excited to test this one out. We've got Felicia in, you can see her details below. Let's have a shoot. If you're in the GFX system, folks, check out my expert setup guide. It takes you through the entire Fuji GFX range from the original 50S and 50R all the way through to the GFX100S and this brand new GFX100 Mark II. It'll show you through all of the physical controls on your camera, and they actually vary quite a bit between model to model, as well as showing you how to initially set them up, a bunch of tips and tricks to get the most out of them out of the box, as well as a complete menu deep dive that takes you through every single feature in these complex and highly customizable cameras. It's already updated with the GFX100 Mark II, and you can see full details below. Okay, so if you're new to medium format, f1.7 is actually very fast. This is, I think, the fastest, this and the 80, the fastest autofocusing medium format lenses that there are essentially. Hasselblad have an f1.9, Fuji have the 1.7, and now this is their second 1.7. So that's great, and on a large sensor it does give you a depth of field of something like a 1.36 or 1.4 once you correct your frame by coming closer. So you do get a nice shallow depth of field, not like you would with a 51 II on or 85 II on a full frame, but plenty shallow. It just means you are still limited in the amount of light that you can capture. So we're using a continuous light here so that we can get our ISO nice and low. And I have to say off the bat, yes, it does seem more responsive. I've still had a couple of times where the focus is thinking that it's seen an eye somewhere in the background that's not there. I'll throw my Atomos on so you can see how it's going with detection and tracking. Now, I can't really criticize it for this because I haven't customized it yet, but straight out of the box it is a little bit jittery. I wouldn't say it's hunting, but there's definitely a jitter as it's trying to stay with her eye, and it is kind of jumping eye to eye in a bit of a seemingly random way. Let's grab the Atomos. Something fantastic about this, it's the first of the Fuji GFX that has a full-size HDMI. Really makes a difference in terms of the reliability of the cables. If I have a choice, I would much rather be working with full size across all cameras, not the mini or micro. Okay, so you see our eye there. So we're in continuous. So to the display, it doesn't look too jittery, but I can feel the lens in my hand pulsing a bit here and there. There you go, you see some there. Look out the window. Again, looking out. So interesting how the autofocus point can take different shapes. does now have a bunch of different zones, and you can customize the size and shape of these. So if we wanted to just focus on eyes, for example, we could choose this kind of a area. Now the reason you use these kind of zones is basically telling it don't bother even looking outside of here. So you can imagine if the algorithm or the processor is searching the whole frame to find eyes or potential subjects, it's got to be a bit slower. Here, if it's only looking at 10% of the frame, that can speed up the whole process. Now, they did introduce a new picture profile with this guy. Let's check it out. The latest film simulation is called Reala Ace. It's a slightly desaturated and lower contrast color profile. Nothing like a bleach bypass. It's actually quite pleasing and not too hipster looking. A quick point on handling. It has kind of all changed around yet again. The layout of the buttons keeps changing between generations, which if you're shooting multiple cameras could be a little bit of an issue. This has the PASM dial on top, like the GFX100 II, with these new customizable function buttons. So we've got plenty of function buttons, but whereas they used to be mainly like a lot along the top here and down the side, now they've moved. We've got 2 down in the hand grip, as well as the new array of 3 here in front of the shutter dial. I have to say I was a bit worried having 3 there, but even with my sausage fingers, no problem. They're nicely curved. The outside one has kind of a sharp edge and a curved inside, the middle 2 curved edges, and then the same on the outer side. So it was really easy to find which was which without having to take your eye away from the EVF to get to whatever it is that you've customized to those different buttons. We'll go to this in the conclusion in more detail. It's definitely improved. You still can't expect, full frame mirrorless kind of performance, but a noticeable improvement here. So look, I have to say the hands-on experience, I've been recently shooting with the entire GFX range as I was putting together my expert setup guide. So whilst I don't have them side by side, the shooting experience with them all is quite familiar. This is definitely noticeably better in terms of eye and face or acquisition and overall focus speed. It's not anywhere near like a full frame mirrorless though. You can't expect that kind of performance, but it is improved. That's no doubt about that. Still a little bit of jitteriness there, but the overall experience feels that much more refined. And I haven't read this anywhere, but it really seemed like the shutter is a bit more dampened than it was on the previous generations, which is really nice. Being a Hasselblad shooter, you get so used to the leaf shutter that the big fa-tunk of a medium format mechanical shutter, it really stands out. We only had like an hour of shooting in the studio here, so I'm gonna head out and get some street sample files that you can download as well, and then we'll do a full wrap up in studio. Now, given I was using a fast prime, instead of heading downtown and shooting, architecture type shots, I headed to my local temple and just got a variety of different shots in this low light setting of different temple artifacts. Next up, I headed over to the local wet market, an area that sells seafood and fish, vegetables and all kinds of knickknacks, and just wandered around for 10 or 15 minutes, grabbing a couple of sample files to share with you. Okay, folks, I think that was about the most express initial hands-on that I've had with the camera. It's been a really rushed couple of days. There's been lots of gear we've been testing out. Just put out the new video on the Nikon ZF. I have to say, shooting with this one, I think there's some really great improvements in this over the previous generations, including full-size HDMI, CF Express Type B, the new design, the new EVF. It's all working really nicely. I have to reserve, I think, my judgment on the responsiveness. This is using the latest processor. This is running firmware 1.0, but as the camera's not officially out, I don't know if there'll be more updates before it's officially released. My experience moving the focus point around and general kind of taking a second to think here and there was still some noticeable lags that I was hoping would have been gone with this, but still, even as it is potentially on early firmware, more responsive than the GFX100 II, which was already a good improvement. So overall, I think the handling, the styling, the kind of the tech revisions and kind of streamlining has played out really well, and hopefully we'll see some of those software things come through on the new firmware. Let's just jump in and take a look in Lightroom at some of the images we got with the new 55mm 1.7. Okay, so I've just chosen out a little random selection of images here to take a look at with you, all shot with the GFX100 II and the new 55mm. You can see the settings up here in the top right hand corner, just above my head. A lot of these have been shot wide open. So down here at the base ISO, I mean, we've got the far eye rather than the near eye, and you can really see that the depth of field is very shallow, but it's just coming up beautifully. I think this lens and camera combo, when they hit, are just fantastic. There are a couple of issues which we're going to work through and just show you here. So look at this image, the little bit of blur. When you have a little bit of blur on a super high res sensor, it's actually quite noticeable, because let's just imagine that you move 1 millimeter on a 24 megapixel sensor. I'm making these numbers up, but let's just go with it. Then you could say that that's blurring 1% of the frame, kind of. Well, on a 102 megapixel frame, it's going to be over 4%, if you get what I mean. The amount of pixels that are being blurred is, it's not actually percent, but you get what I'm getting at. So there, we missed perfect sharpness despite being at 1/200th of a second. This one has it, the previous one doesn't. So whilst I think the in-body image stabilization is doing fairly well, it's not, you know, voodoo like the Hasselblad X2D. You can just shoot it like half a second or a second if your subject doesn't move and it'll be sharp. The GFX100 II isn't quite like that. But it is still the same fantastic sensor, this time rebooted as a high-speed sensor. So if we jump into our develop module, you can see we have a lot of latitude for recovering. So even bringing down that one small hot spot that we had, going down 2.5 stops down, we can still see great amount of detail in there. Going back to about 0, and then where's our darkest area? If we put it up by, 3 or 4 stops, we're still having plenty of detail to work with here. It really is a beautiful, beautiful sensor. Here is a high ISO sample, this one taken at ISO 2000. It's okay. Considering the resolution, I don't think it's a terrible result. I'll include that in the ones that you can download to check out for yourself. I still personally, on this camera or any other, I wouldn't want to be shooting at ISO 2000 if I have a choice. But here, even at 1.7, I was at a 40th of a second, so not much of a choice when you're in those low light conditions. Although I was doing this for the test, I would probably actually have shot this close to a stop darker, so we could have got down to like ISO 1200. Here's one thing that I found that it did struggle with a little bit, and that's white balance when we're in non-natural light sources. So you look at the white balance we've got up here, the it's just a little off, but then the next shop, it's off, but in a slightly different direction. So you're not getting great white balance straight out of the bag. You know, Fuji's famous for their profiles and stuff, but the color science is pretty good, but it's not kind of industry leading. And the white balance that I found shooting with Felicia when we're in the studio, it was doing a lot better when it was mostly or entirely natural light. Same here with this mixed light source. We've got the knife on the bench and the meat hanging overhead. And just to give you an idea of, you know, what that lens can resolve, this one is shot at f3.2. Just let it render there. You see all the little hairs and details here. We can probably even go into 200% on this. Really quite a good result. We're not getting the maximum detail here because I was up at ISO 400, but still you can see resolving a crazy amount of detail. Another one, white balance close, but kind of not quite there. And then just a boring wall test, but again, to be able to see the crazy amount of detail down close to base ISO, we're at ISO 80 here, and you can actually see the dots in the dot matrix, you know, the dot printer that was, you know, such a wide frame going in crazy close. You get all of that info, and feel free to scan that for some, I don't know what they're promoting, but you can check it out. So all in all, a really fantastic package. Big thanks to Fujifilm Hong Kong for getting this to me for a 2-day loan. I could have had it for longer, but I was traveling in Japan, so it wasn't going to work. Let me know what you'd like to see tested out in more detail once I get this back in studio. I haven't touched on the video aspects just yet. This has a lot of new features added for that, and I would say video is actually the main thing that they've been touting this as. But as a photography first hands-on preview, I think it's a really great revision. And despite being 25% cheaper than the original GFX100, I think this now quite clearly sits at the top of the pyramid of GFX cameras. If you're in the system, do check out my expert setup guide. This camera has already been updated to show you all of the camera controls on it, all of the new things that it has going on, and an initial setup guide, all of the things that I recommend you check out before you go out and shoot in the field. Cheers guys, links for everything will be in the description below.